Keynote session of today's event to be delivered by Dr. Ritesh Malik, founder, Innovate, co-working on the topic, the startup culture, what's missing. Dr. Ritesh Malik is an Indian doctor, entrepreneur, and investor. He is honored to be in Forbes 30 under 30 Finance and Venture Capital list, Asia of 2016, Fortune 40 under 40 list, PW under 40 17 list, PwC and SPH 40 Influential Indians. Dr. Malik is also one of the jury members for today's awards.
This is great. Thank you very much, Ritu ma'am. I was just listening to your inspiring speech. I completely agree with you. A lot of people ask me that when is a good time to start your business? I always say the best time to start your business was yesterday. The next best time is right now. So you should just start.
And it's always so wonderful to see how, Ritesh, you are empowering young startups and always helping them to sort of find their feet on the ground and helping them grow. So please keep up and cheering them up and helping them grow in the journey forward. It's a testing time, but certainly it's also one of the most brilliant times to do a startup.
I completely agree, ma'am. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes.
Okay, this is just 1 minute. So great. So for me today, I'm extremely excited about building startups that test the tides of time. A very interesting topic, that what exactly is missing when it comes to building startups that are world class, building companies that outlast humans. And for me, a couple of pointers are as follows. The first one, which I truly believe is missing, is frugality. So I would like to touch a couple of things when it comes to the word frugality. So frugality comes from a Latin word, fru standing for fruit, which means value, and gality is standing for legality, ensuring that you do not waste. So in terms of startups, the quality of being frugal is one of the most underrated qualities, and management of resources and efficiency for a founder is something which is absolutely one of the most important traits which every founder, irrespective of their ability to raise capital, is there or not. So in terms of frugality, we talk about resource efficiency, we talk about capital efficiency, thriftiness, agility, resource treasury management, minimalism, simplistic thought processes, and the triple R phenomenon, which is reuse, reduce, and recycle. So we'll touch a lot of topics around this. So to start with, people think frugality is management of money. Actually, frugality is management of resources. Time is more and more important than capital. Ensure that as a founder, you are extremely in control of your time. And the only way to do that is being focused. Be the most focused founder. We've seen time and again large companies going down because they did not value the essence of focus. When you build your company, ensure that you are only and only focusing on 3 to 4 tasks at hand, and nail those tasks. Ensure that you're never the CEO of the company. You're always the CCO, which is the Chief Officer for Clarity. Ensure that your job is only and only to be focused, to be frugal, and to ensure that your human resource time and capital only and only goes to the complete convergence of creation of value and not just PR hype or noise. And this is very interesting. Whenever there are 2 horses, the horse which has as a tunnel equipment around him wins the race always, because he only and only looks straight. So focus is something which is heavily underrated in our community. So this is also a very interesting example. Whenever you have a problem, whenever a founder has a problem, there are always 2 choices. The first one is throw capital. The second one is throw time. Always throw intellect and time at your problems before throwing capital. Because if you throw capital at your problems, what will happen is eventually that becomes a habit. That becomes actually an SOP where you start losing capital. Always is put your intellect before solving any problem, because throwing capital, and especially for well-funded companies, the moment you get capital, you start valuing in your intellect so less that you start spending that capital in hiring consultancy agencies, McKinsey's of the world, to actually solve problems for you. my only submission here is build companies like Zerodha and Zoho that have never raised capital, but have consistently delivered value over the past 2.5 decades. Zoho just crossed 25 years yesterday. I also feel that this is a new culture that we've been taught at Y Combinator, and this is the FAC culture. The FAC culture stands for frugality as a culture. Frugality does not mean only and only the CEO's frugality. Frugality means frugality as a culture in a company, which ensures that throughout the pyramid, every person from the CEO of the company to the janitor of the company ensures that they save, ensure that they add value, ensure that they do not waste time, energy, efficiency / capital. So a couple of questions. So we as a company always asked us, how do we build our FAC culture? And for us, the first thing was ask questions. Make MIS. This is the biggest mistake which founders do. They do not make their monthly income statements. Make MISs. Ask questions on those MISs. Ask questions that why are we incurring this expenditure? At the same time, build SOPs around financial decisions. Build frameworks. Understand where the company would be investing capital, and will this investment lead to an ROI? If not, do not invest that capital, however funded you might be. It's actually very easy to fail for a founder or a company that has a lot of capital with them. So the whole idea is that ensure that you do not get into the framework where you feel that you have capital and you have to spend that, irrespective of the pressure of the investors. Investors have this thesis that you should spend capital and grow your metrics. The biggest metric that we need to focus on is FCF, which is the free cash flow. I think that is so underrated in today's day and age. So we'll come on to that. So for us at Innovate Co-working, we asked these 4 questions before spending even a single dollar on our balance sheets. The first one was, will this dollar spent help us in our customer retention? क्या हमारा कस्टमर इस एक्सपेंडिचर से क्या हमारे कस्टमर को हमें छोड़ना मुश्किल हो जाएगा? If the answer was yes, we actually spended that capital. The second one was, will this investment give us a disciplined marketing in return on capital expenditure? Now, Rose, on ROCE, we understand one thing, that the only and only word here is disciplined marketing ROCE. The whole idea is the world is actually spending more capital to get one customer than actually making a good solid business around it. If you spend 100 rupees to get, if you spend 100 rupees to actually get 80 to 70 rupees of capital from your investors, from your customers, you'll never ever be able to build a large enough business. Ensure that you at least have a 3.5 to 10x ROCE on your capital expenditure. The third one, which we realized was extremely important, was that will this investment make our customers more dependent on us as a bundled product? The whole idea is that your customers are your best investors. And the fourth one is that, does this investment raise the overall happiness quotient of our HR, of our team members? I think that is something which is extremely important. Now, the whole idea why we are being frugal, why we are being focused, is the free cash flow phenomenon. Free cash flow is basically PAT in terms of our CA language. It's the consequence of a balanced frugal management. Making money is easy. Keeping it is hard, and growing it is the hardest. Resources are limited. Use wisely. Every day is made up of micro decisions, and your decisions define your life. So ensure that your only and only goal is to create free cash flow on every customer sale that you do. So this is I think there are a lot of traits of great frugal founders. The first one being negotiators, being humble, but you should know how to negotiate your way, because you don't save money by buying. You actually save money by creating an expense chart. So be the best negotiator possible. The second one is create massive clarity. Create clarity in terms of the entire top to bottom organization culture. Use platforms like OKR, use methodologies like Kaizen, and ensure that you are at peak productivity. The third one is be an amazing planner. And you need to measure every day. You need to ensure that you measure your entire plan. You need to measure on a daily basis where your revenue is going, where your profitability is going. The fifth one is being a value creator. Ensure that you are consistently creating value for all stakeholders, and not only just for yourself or your company or your customers, but your merchants, but the entire value chain around you. And the last one is, do not be a fancy depreciating asset buyer. A lot of smart founders, the so-called smart founders, they keep on buying depreciating assets. Buy appreciating assets, buy assets like create a phenomenal brand. The best asset that you can create is build a frugally dependent but an insane branding in message. The most frugal organization which I am deeply inspired by is ISRO. This was the first rocket launch that ISRO did, and they actually took parts of the rocket on a cycle. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter how simple you are. What matters is what is the FCF, your free cash flow generating at the bottom line. I've personally learned a lot from the Zen living of the fact that less is more. We end up buying so many things we do not need. So throw, sell, and commoditize. Ensure that you are consistently decreasing wastage in your organization. So in terms of building a frugal backend to your organization, it's not only saving money, but being frugally innovative. There are three consistent ways to do that. The first one is social innovation. The second one is institutional innovation. And the third one is technological innovation. All these three, you should actually think of ways where you can actually build innovation on the background of being extremely frugal. So I'll tell you a couple of very interesting examples of it. So the Swiss knife, which has more than 16 use cases, which you can see in the bottom left quadrant, had only one use case, which was the nail cutter, which was 99% used by people. Now, this is very interesting. Out of 16 use cases, the Swiss knife only had one use case, which was the nail cutter. But because the Swiss knife was so expensive that it could not become a mass product. Whereas a company in China actually patented this nail cutter patent from the Swiss knife, and only sold nail cutters. Today, their revenues are touching $3.5 billion, whereas Swiss knives are just a novelty item. The whole idea is remove unnecessary functions of your product which do not add value to your customers. Make sure that your produce is massively reduced. You consistently keep on decreasing your COGS, which is your cost of goods sold, and you decrease your complexity and convert your product cycle from a nice to have to a need to have, from a desire to an immediate need. And I think that is something which is extremely important. A couple of beautiful examples of frugal innovation are how Elon Musk leveraged the reusability of a rocket and created a completely frugally disruptive model where where the ability to send anything to space was actually decreased by 1:58 times, because one rocket could have been used 58 times. Usually our rockets were actually used just once. Now, this is such a beautiful frugal innovation. Like this, there are so many disruptive value chain in methodologies that you can use to ensure that your product gets better day by day. What Mr. Yunus Khan did, the Nobel Award winner with Grameen Bank, banking for the poor was a massive challenge. He took a microfinance license, and today they are the largest microfinance company, with deploying over all of their asset under management to women, which is almost 98% of their AUM, and have one of the highest microfinance yields in the world in out of a country like Bangladesh. Models like Paytm Soundbox. This was very interesting. A country like India, which speaks more than 16,000 dialects and languages, they actually leveraged voice and ensured that there is safety and transparency in payments. Rickshaw Bank. You must go through Rickshaw Bank. Now, if you go to an HDFC, or any bank like SBI, they will give you a loan for every vehicle, even to an auto rickshaw, but not a rickshaw. Now, this gentleman, and who's received multiple awards, built a bank only and only to ensure that rickshaw pullers can actually get access to capital to buy their own rickshaws. For an average rickshaw puller to pay rent to his owner, it actually took 16 years and they hardly make any money. Now, there was a massive opportunity and he frugally built this model, only focused on rickshaw bank. And today they are the largest deployers of rickshaw assets in the country and are yielding a massive profit on whatever they do. Concepts, it's like, and always ensure that you have this levered pyramid whenever you want to buy something new. The first one is use what you have. The second one is borrow. The third one is swap. The fourth one is be extremely thrifty. Thrifty means try and lease it out. The fifth one is make, and the last one should be buy. Ensure that your buying cycle is questioned heavily across parameters so that you don't spend money. Money is momentum, money is power, money is influence. Your only responsibility as a founder is to ensure that you create free cash flow for your company and fight for each and every penny. The last part of this topic is how to kill capital of large companies and nail the market. This is a topic which I'm extremely passionate about because all of us have been in a position where we don't know, okay, how do we fight with a giant who's heavily funded, who's heavily VC backed, and we as a company are extremely poor in terms of our resources, especially capital. Now we've actually fought this journey pretty well, and there are 5 ways to ensure that you kill capital of large companies. The first one is speed. If you increase your speed, a large company, because of its hierarchy, cannot increase its speed. We need to increase our speed. If a large company is going at X rate of speed, you go at 7x rate of speed. Because of your lean structure, you do not need to have a lot of processes and a lot of hierarchical decision making in enablements. So make your organization the fastest iterating organization. The second one is niche it up. Do not look at a very large market. If you want to ensure that large companies is fail in front of you, take one niche, be focused, be frugal, and nail that niche. The third one is be an underdog. Consistently talk to your customers and request your customers to make sure that they are consistently helping you out. Literally beg them, do sales yourself and become a sales machine actually. The fourth one is stay close to your customers. Your net promoter scores, what your customers think about your brand is the most important thing, and stay connected to them. The fifth one is don't poke the bear. Until and unless you achieve a large enough market share, do not irritate your competitors. Consistently be humble, be an underdog, and consistently deliver to your customers, and one day you will realize compounding will actually start working. These are the campuses that we've built. We have 42 campuses pan India of Innovate Co-working, and we've built completely on a base of we've never raised a Series A funding or any fancy funding rounds, and we've completely leveraged the principles of frugality to ensure that we are the most loved and second largest co-working space in India. And the last part of all of this is invest by appreciating assets. Even if you have 2 lakh rupees in your bank account, don't have it lying down in a savings account. Invest right, leverage compounding for your habit. So this is very interesting. If you consistently every month just give 20,000 rupees into the stock market for the next 40 years, you will actually gain back after 40 years 45 crore rupees. This is something which very few people know about, but the whole idea is that consistently do not be wary of valuations, be wary of the fact that you consistently compound your habits, your startup, your brand, and leverage compounding. Use time for your advantage, and always realize that disruption is for real. Out of the 500 Fortune companies in 1980, only 36 of them are alive today on the stock exchange. Disruption is for real. Only the cockroaches survive in a global apocalypse. Dinosaurs are the first one to get extinct. What Charles Darwin rightly said, that the theory of evolution is true for everything on this planet, from an amoeba to a large company. The whole idea, it is not the fastest or the largest who will survive. It is the one who changes consistently to the ever adopting changes across and around our environment, who will consistently survive. So this is it. I hope this adds value to what all of you are doing. My only submission is that at raising capital is nice, but at the same time, ensure that all of you are building large amounts of value for your customers and for yourself. And I think that is something which is extremely important.
Thank you so much, Dr. Malik. May I request you to answer a couple of questions we have in our Q&A section?
Sure, Muskan. Okay, so Ashlesh,
I think we can also facilitate it. Saurabh, are you there?
Yes. So, Dr. Malik, there is a question. At many times, especially in manufacturing business, one needs to make heavy investment upfront. How can one be frugal in such a case? And also, given that there is competition from, there is competition which has deep pockets. So, how does one maintain frugality there?
So I think, see, frugality is something, it's not an industry specific phenomenon. Frugality is a trait. It's a habit. It's about making sure that you get every value of the buck that you are spending. Now, when it comes to a particular business like manufacturing, so for example, let me start with co-working. Manufacturing is capital intensive. Talk about co-working. For building 1 million square feet, we have to spend 100 crores of capital. Now, we started with absolutely nothing, almost no capital to start with. Now, the whole idea is you start small. You start small, you keep on adding value on top of that. So, for example, we started a very small 5-seater co-working space, and we then showed the entire concept to a couple of investors. They liked the idea. The thing is, now gone are the days where people will invest in you on purely an idea. You start with something, you build, even if for 5 people, you build an MVP, which is your minimum viable product. Now, the moment those 5 seats start filling up, I actually went to an investor and raised 50 lakh rupees. Then I started a co-working space in Connaught Place. Now, there we had 80 seats, we performed well. Then again, we went to Y Combinator in San Francisco, and they said, yeah, this is a great idea. Let's build a large space and take 7 crore rupees and build from a space in Kormangala in Bangalore. Now, the whole idea is that you consistently keep on proving your thesis, and you cannot raise all the capital at one point in time. So my only submission is that for heavy capex industries, make sure that you are consistently, you start something small, you keep on increasing the pie, and slow and steady, keep on proving your worth, and obviously be as frugal. Whatever you are buying, your raw materials, your machinery, negotiate to the core of it. Ensure that you are negotiating and ensure that you are getting the best value for the capital spending.
Thank you, Mr. Malik. Just one more question. So you mentioned that 2 startups, Zerodha and Zoho, haven't raised money and yet they have become so big. But there are others like Byju's, who have become big. They have raised a lot of capital and then they are taking over their competition. So do you think there is anything wrong with that strategy?
No, of course not. I think whatever floats your boat. I think this is something which is very personal to a founder, whether you want to build a company which is losing a lot of capital over years and then finally becoming profitable, or do you want to build slow, steady, consistently profitable formats and grow at your own pace. It's very personal to the founder actually. And I feel I have a lot of respect for Byju's. I have a lot of respect for Unacademy. I have a lot of respect for founders who have actually raised a lot of capital and are now converting their ships into large profitable companies. So there's no right answer, but my only the reason why I gave Zerodha and Zoho's example is the fact that only 0.001% of founders in our country actually get funded. Now, for all the other 99.99999% founders, they feel that because we have not gotten funded, we should actually close our, and we should actually quit our startup journey. That should not be the case. My only request is, if you get funded, good for you. If you do not get funded, better for you. Consistently add value, go slow. It might take you 25 years to build a Zoho, but go slow and do not lose hope. Do not quit, and be frugal with your thought process, and consistently add value. You, your success cannot be defined by the capital that you raise. The sad part of our media today is we celebrate fundraising, we do not celebrate it profit booking. I think that is something which is extremely important. And fundraising is a great achievement, but more than that, the higher achievement is listing your company at the National Stock Exchange. So in my opinion, that is something which is very important, and you should not be disheartened if you don't raise capital.
Thank you, Mr. Malik. Just one question we'll take, and if you can quickly answer this because we have little time. So here's the question. We are an urban club of electronics repair and services, and we are bootstrapped, no external investors yet. What do you suggest is a way to get seed funding, investors, or government program of MSME loans? Comparing debt against equity-based investment, kindly advise.
So from my standpoint, if your business is giving you a good operating margin, you should aankh band karke raise debt. I'm a big believer of debt. I feel that equity is extremely expensive. So in case of Innovate, for example, our equity rose from actually just I think 1 crore rupees to over 250 crore rupees in just a span of 36 months. Now, if you see that, that is a very high movement and very high return on equity invested instead of a debt. So we raised a close to a 35 crore debt from one of our investors at an 8% coupon rate. In my opinion, and debt is always a good idea. But the whole idea is it's also a call. It's a call which the founders need to take. Do they want to have a dagger standing on their head? Because once you take the debt, you need to pay back the debt. So in my opinion, and it's a personal call. I'm a big fan of debt. At Innovate, at the time of exit, I actually held a majority of the company because I had taken large amounts of debt on my balance sheet. I'm a big believer of debt. I feel that debt is so underrated. It finally, both equity and debt pay off, but debt actually helps you save a lot of capital, especially for founders.
Thank you, Dr. Malik. Thank you for your answers. We will request you to just hold on for a couple of minutes. We'll announce our awards. Over to you, Muskan.
In the meantime, Ritesh, if you can also, we know that you're taking a lot of initiatives in the higher education and you want to see a much more evolved research and education system evolving in India. So can you tell us a little more about it?
So this is something very passionate to me, ma'am. I feel that education in our country is so screwed up. We are not, or we are actually producing donkeys, including myself. If I feel that we are not, I feel that we don't need 14 years of school education. We do not need the mundane in undergraduate system. So that is why we are a group of 45 founders creating a philanthropic concept, a 50-acre university in Mohali, only and only for Industry 4.0. Even today, out of 100 engineers in our country, 90 of them get average jobs, but 10 of them are doing menial jobs like housekeeping, engineering degrees, mechanical engineers doing housekeeping, reception, menial jobs. And I realized that the reason is that engineering has just become a degree. People are not following their passion. People are not understanding, and our NCRTs have not changed for the past so many years. We are still in that education era where we should completely go away from that. We should not be teaching our students mechanical engineering. We should be teaching our students the future Industry 4.0, robotics, artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, machine learning, autonomous vehicles, electric vehicle infrastructure, and so on 3D printing, 5G, and so many new things are coming. Technology will, in India, technology will contribute to over 55% of Modi ji's $5 trillion GDP goal. So in my opinion, we should completely, and also my request to all the founders is, do not stop learning. Never stop learning. In our education system, the biggest failure is after 25, we never take out our books. Learning is a consistent process. It's learning, relearning, unlearning things which so for example, when I was taught in my 4th grade, I was taught that moon never had water. Actually, my teacher gave me full marks for this answer. Now in the 7th grade, when I came, it was found that moon had water. The idea is that you need to unlearn and consistently relearn newer things, and every day read books. Read your uh, uh, textbooks will actually help you get uh, your ration, but books which help you get self-learning experiences will actually create wealth. The easiest way to create wealth is, one, to change your orbit of people that you talk to. 5 people. So I always tell that you tell me 5 people, their salaries, how much they earn, and I'll tell you what your salary would be. The number of people with whom you spend your maximum time, you actually, emotions are so infectious. So consistently change your orbit, talk to people who are actually higher than you in the orbit cycle, who are productive, who are positive, and consistently keep learning newer skills. The world is changing. By 2030, 12.5% of all jobs in the world will be wiped off and replaced by robotics. So this is an impending truth. Gone are the days when our parents did their education till 22 and served in the same company till they were 60. So I've realized that things are changing with the speed of light, and as Charles Darwin said, जो बदलेगा नहीं वो मर जाएगा. It's as if dinosaurs were the most prosperous species on the planet, and within a span of just 100 years, everything was vanished.